The house past Ridgeline Road. I'm only telling you this because I need someone else to know. Not for sympathy or whatever, just if something happens to me, someone should understand why. 3 months ago, my girlfriend Sarah and I were driving back from her sister's wedding up in Vermont. It was late October, that time when the sun drops fast and suddenly it's dark at 5:30. We'd left later than planned because, honestly, we'd been fighting. Nothing serious. The usual stuff about whether we were ready to move in together, whether I was serious about my writing or just wasting time. The drive was tense and quiet. Around 6, maybe 6:15, we were on this backcountry road, Route 14, I think, though the GPS kept losing signal. Sarah was driving. I was in the passenger seat, pretending to look at my phone even though there was no service. The trees on both sides were so thick they made a tunnel, and our headlights just sort of disappeared into them. That's when the car started making this grinding sound. "What's that?" Sarah asked, and I could hear the worry in her voice. "I don't know. Pull over." She did, and the car died completely about 30 seconds later, just stopped. We coasted to the shoulder, gravel crunching under the tires, and then there was nothing but silence and darkness pressing against the windows. I tried starting it again. Nothing. Not even a click. "This is perfect," Sarah said, and I couldn't tell if she was about to cry or yell. "This is just perfect." I checked my phone. No signal. Hers was the same. "Okay," I said, trying to sound calm. "Okay, someone will come by eventually. It's a state route." We sat there for maybe 40 minutes. No cars came. The woods around us were completely silent. No birds, no insects, nothing. Just this heavy quiet that made my ears ring. The temperature was dropping fast, and I could see our breath starting to fog up the windows. "We can't just sit here all night," Sarah finally said. "We'll freeze." She was right. We'd both worn light jackets for the wedding, nothing meant for a Vermont night in late October. "I thought I saw a driveway back there, maybe a quarter mile. There might be a house. We could ask to use their phone." Sarah looked at me like I'd suggested we walk into the woods naked. "Are you serious? Do you have a better idea?" She didn't. So we got out, and God, that cold hit different. It wasn't just cold, it was damp and sharp, the kind that gets into your bones immediately. We started walking back the way we'd come, using our phones as flashlights to save the batteries. The driveway was there, just like I remembered. It was almost hidden, just 2 dirt ruts with grass growing between them, disappearing into the trees. There was no mailbox, no sign, nothing, but it was clearly a driveway. "I don't like this," Sarah said. "Neither do I, but we don't have a choice." The walk up that driveway took forever. The trees were so close on both sides that branches kept scraping against us, and the path twisted so much we couldn't see more than 20 feet ahead. Our phone lights seemed weaker somehow, like the darkness was thicker here. Then we saw the house. It stood in a small clearing, and the first thing I noticed was that it shouldn't exist. I mean that literally. The house was old. I'm talking maybe 1800s old, with peeling white paint and a sagging front porch. But here's the thing. Houses that old don't just sit abandoned in the woods. Someone owns the land. There are property taxes, records, surveying. This house looked like it had been forgotten by the entire world. There was a single light on in one of the downstairs windows. Just one. "Someone's home," Sarah whispered, though I don't know why she was whispering. "Yeah, this feels wrong, Marcus." "I know. But what else could we do?" We walked up to the porch. The steps creaked so loud it sounded like screaming, and I knocked on the door. The sound echoed weird, flat and dead, like the woods were swallowing it. Nothing happened. I knocked again, harder. The door opened, but I didn't see it open. 1 second I was staring at peeling paint, and the next it was just open. No sound, no movement, just open. The man standing there was old, really old, but in a way that was hard to pin down. He could have been 70 or 90. He had this thin white hair and these pale blue eyes, almost colorless. He was wearing brown slacks and a cardigan, like someone's grandfather. "Help you?" His voice was soft, scratchy. "I'm really sorry to bother you," I said, and I could hear how fast I was talking. "Our car broke down on the main road, and we don't have cell service. Could we possibly use your phone?" He looked at us for a long moment, and I realized he wasn't blinking, just staring with those pale eyes. "Don't have a phone," he finally said. My heart sank. "Oh, okay. Is there maybe a neighbor nearby who might—" "Closest neighbor's 8 miles. You'll freeze before you get there." He was right. It had to be in the 20s by now, and the wind was picking up. "You can come in, warm up, wait till morning. I'll drive you to town, get someone to look at your car." Sarah grabbed my arm, her fingers digging in. I knew what she was thinking because I was thinking it too. Every horror movie, every true crime podcast, never go inside. But the cold was biting through my jacket, and Sarah was already shivering. What were our options? Walk 8 miles through freezing woods in the dark to a neighbor who might not even be home? Sleep in the car and risk hypothermia? "That's very kind of you," I heard myself say. The old man stepped back, and we went inside. The interior looked like a museum, or maybe like someone had died in 1952 and everything had just stayed exactly the same. Floral wallpaper, doilies on the furniture, one of those old console TVs that's basically a piece of furniture itself. Everything was spotless, though, not a speck of dust anywhere. The single light I'd seen from outside came from a lamp in the corner, one with a yellowed shade that turned everything sepia. "Sit," the old man said, gesturing to a couch wrapped in clear plastic.
We sat. The plastic crinkled obscenely loud. "I'll make coffee," he said, and shuffled off through a doorway into what I assumed was the kitchen. Sarah leaned close to me. "We shouldn't stay here. Where else can we go? I don't know, but this place, something's wrong with it. It's just old. No, listen." I did, and then I realized what she meant. There was no sound. None. In a house this old, you'd hear the heater, the refrigerator, pipes settling, wood creaking, something. But there was nothing. It was like the silence from the woods had followed us inside. The old man came back with 2 mugs of coffee on a tray. The coffee was black and smelled wrong. Not bad exactly, just off, like it had been sitting for days. "Drink," he said. "Warm you up." I held the mug but didn't drink. Sarah didn't either. "You live here alone?" I asked, just to fill the silence. "For a long time now." "It's a beautiful house. Must be a lot of work to maintain by yourself." Those pale eyes fixed on me. "It maintains itself." I had no idea what that meant, so I just nodded. "You should sleep," he said. "Guest room's upstairs, second door on the left. You'll be safe there." The way he said that last part, "you'll be safe there," made my skin crawl. Safe from what? But Sarah was exhausted. I could see it in her face, and I wasn't much better. The adrenaline was fading, leaving us both shaky and drained. "Thank you," I said. "We really appreciate it." He just nodded and turned off the lamp. The darkness was immediate and complete. "Hey, wait!" I started, but he was already gone. I could hear his feet on the stairs, slow and methodical, though I couldn't see anything. Then a door closed somewhere above us. Sarah turned on her phone light. "This is insane. We're leaving, now." "Marcus, we can't. It's pitch black out there and we don't even know which direction town is." "I don't care. Every instinct I have is screaming at me to get out of this house." "Just until morning, please. We'll lock the door, and in the morning we get his help and get out of here, okay?" She didn't want to agree. I could see her fighting with herself. But finally, she nodded. We went upstairs, our phones lighting the way. The stairs didn't creak, which was somehow worse than if they had. The hallway at the top was narrow and dark, with 4 doors, 2 on each side. "Second on the left," he'd said. I opened it. The room was small and clean, with a double bed covered in a faded quilt, a wooden dresser, and a window with lace curtains. It smelled like lavender and mothballs. There was a calendar on the wall, and when I looked closer, my blood went cold. It was from 1952. "Marcus," Sarah whispered. She was looking at the dresser. There was a framed photograph on it, black and white, showing a young couple on their wedding day. The man was handsome, smiling. The woman was beautiful, her dress old-fashioned. The man looked exactly like the old man downstairs. I mean, exactly. Same face, just 70 years younger. "That's impossible," I said. "It's probably his grandfather or something." "Marcus, look at the date." Penciled on the back of the frame, June 14th, 1952. If that was him, he'd be over 100 years old. He didn't look a day over 80. Sarah's hand was shaking. "We need to leave, right now." And then we heard it. A woman's voice, singing. It was coming from somewhere in the house, faint but clear. A lullaby, old-fashioned, in a voice that sounded young and sweet and completely wrong for this place. Sarah grabbed my arm so hard it hurt. "Tell me you hear that." "I hear it." The singing stopped. Then we heard footsteps in the hallway, slow, deliberate, getting closer. I moved to the door and turned the lock. Thank God there was one. The footsteps stopped right outside. I could see a shadow in the gap under the light that wasn't there. "Hello," a woman's voice, light and cheerful. "Are you awake? I heard you come upstairs." Sarah and I stood frozen, not breathing. "Don't be shy. Come out. I made cookies. They're still warm." The doorknob rattled, then turned, even though I'd locked it. But the door didn't open. It was like something was holding it closed from our side. "Oh," the voice sounded disappointed, childlike. "You're in the safe room. That's okay. You can come out in the morning." The shadow moved away. The footsteps receded down the hall. Sarah was crying silently, tears running from her face. I pulled her close, and we just stood there, holding each other. "What the fuck is this place?" she whispered. I had no answer. We didn't sleep. How could we? We sat on the bed, backs against the wall, watching the door. Every 20 minutes or so, we'd hear something. Footsteps, that singing. Once, what sounded like a child laughing. But there was no child. We knew there was no child. Around 3 in the morning, I made the mistake of looking out the window. There were people in the clearing, maybe a dozen of them, just standing there in a rough circle around the house. They were all wearing old-fashioned clothes, dresses and suits from decades ago, and they were all perfectly still, just staring at the house. No, not at the house, at our window. I jerked the curtains closed and backed away. "What?" Sarah asked. "Don't look outside." She looked anyway, pulling the curtain back just a crack. She made a small sound in her throat and let it fall.
We waited. The hours crawled by. I've never wanted to see sunrise so badly in my life. When light finally started seeping through the curtains, real gray morning light, Sarah and I looked at each other with the same thought. Time to go. We didn't care about the old man's offer of a ride. We'd walk the 8 miles. We'd walk 20 miles if we had to. I unlocked the door and opened it slowly. The hallway was empty. We crept downstairs, trying to be quiet, though I don't know why. The house was silent. The old man was sitting in his chair by the dead fireplace, in exactly the same position as the night before. Those pale eyes watched us come down. "Leaving?" he asked. "Yes," I said. "Thank you for your hospitality, but we really need to get going." "Before breakfast?" "We're not hungry." He smiled then, and it was the saddest thing I'd ever seen. "You're lucky, you know. You found the safe room. Most people don't." "What is this place?" The question came out before I could stop it. "Home," he said simply, "for those of us who can't leave." "The people outside last night." "They're waiting, like they always wait, like I wait." "For what?" He looked toward the window where full daylight was now streaming in, for someone to open the wrong door. Sarah pulled on my arm. "Marcus, come on!" We walked to the front door. My hand was on the knob when the old man spoke again. "If you tell people about this place, they won't believe you. Even you won't believe it after enough time passes. But do me a favor, don't come back, and don't send anyone else here. The house is always hungry." I didn't know what to say to that, so we just left. The walk back to the main road was wrong. The driveway seemed shorter, and when we looked back, we couldn't see the house anymore. It was like the trees had swallowed it completely. Our car was where we'd left it, but when I turned the key, it started immediately, like nothing had ever been wrong with it. We drove straight through to Boston, without stopping, without talking about what had happened. When we finally got to Sarah's apartment, we sat in the car for a long time. "That didn't happen," she finally said. "Tell me that didn't happen." "It happened." "Then we report it. We tell the police." "And say what? We stayed in a spooky old house? There were people standing outside? They'll think we're crazy." She knew I was right, so we didn't tell anyone. We tried to forget. But here's the thing. I can't forget. Because 2 weeks ago, I was curious. Stupid, I know, but I had to know if it was real. So I went back to that stretch of Route 14, in broad daylight this time, and I drove up and down for an hour looking for that driveway. It wasn't there. No driveway, no gap in the trees, nothing, just unbroken forest for miles. But when I got home and looked at my photos from that night, yeah, I'd taken photos of the house. I'm an idiot. They were all corrupted, every single one, just black screens with white noise, like static. Except one. The last photo I took right before we left showed the window of our room, and there, behind the lace curtains, I can just make out a face, a young woman's face with dark eyes and a smile that doesn't reach them. She's waving at the camera. The photo is timestamped, says 6:47 a.m., October 28th, but I know for a fact I didn't take any photos that morning. I was too scared to even take out my phone. So who took that picture? Last week, Sarah called me. We barely talked since that night. Turns out surviving something impossible together doesn't bring you closer. It just reminds you both of something you want to forget. "Marcus," she said, and her voice was shaking, "I got a letter." "What kind of letter?" There's no return address, no postmark. It just appeared in my mailbox. It's an invitation." "To what?" "To a housewarming party at the house on Ridgeline Road." She was crying now. "Marcus, there is no Ridgeline Road. I looked it up. It doesn't exist. But the invitation has our names on it, both of our names." I haven't gotten a letter yet, but I check my mailbox every day now. And every time it's empty, I feel this mix of relief and dread because I know it's coming. The house hasn't forgotten us. I dream about it sometimes. In the dreams, I'm walking up that driveway again, but this time I open the wrong door. There are a lot of doors in that house that we didn't open, and in my dreams, I find out what's behind them. I wake up before I see, but I can hear them, crying, screaming, begging, and that woman's voice singing her lullaby. So yeah, that's my story. Believe it or don't, but if you're ever driving through Vermont on Route 14 and you see a driveway that doesn't look quite right, that seems to fade into the trees like it's trying to hide, just keep driving. Don't stop. Don't look too long. And for God's sake, don't go up it. Some houses aren't meant to have guests. They're meant to have something else. And the worst part, I'm starting to understand what the old man meant. Because lately, I've been having this feeling, this pull, like something's calling me back, like I left something there and I need to retrieve it. I don't know what that makes sense. We didn't leave anything, but the feeling's getting stronger. Sarah feels it too. She told me yesterday. That's why she called, to warn me. She said she's been having these urges to drive back out there, to find it again. She said she wakes up sometimes and finds herself sitting in her car, keys in her hand,
without remembering how she got there. We're both fighting it, but I don't know for how long. It's like the house got into us somehow, left something behind, a hook, a thread. I don't know what happens if we stop fighting. Maybe that's how it gets you. Not all at once, but slowly, over time, until one day you find yourself standing in that clearing with the others, wearing old-fashioned clothes, waiting for the next people to knock on the door, waiting to welcome them home.